Multiple studies have shown that colors can influence human emotions, behavior, concentration, appetite, and even the way we experience spaces. In today's episode of Friday Frames, we explore the scientific background of color, understanding its basics, colors in nature, the history and cultural symbolism, and the fascinating psychological perceptions associated with them. Let's look at how color was discovered and perceived from the lens of some very renowned scientists who made path-breaking discoveries in the realm of color.
Well, do you all know how color came to be discovered? In the 1660s, English physicist and mathematician Isaac Newton, yes, you're right, the same Newton who discovered gravity, so he began a series of experiments with sunlight and prisms. You see, he demonstrated that clear white light was composed of 7 visible colors. So, by scientifically establishing our visible spectrum, the colors we see in a rainbow, Newton actually laid the path for others to experiment with color in a very scientific manner.
I have scientific proof that white light is composed of 7 component colors like behaviour.
But wait, someone contradicted him. Goethe came in with his perspective.
There's an emotional component too, you know. Color is not simply a scientific measurement, but a subjective experience perceived differently by each viewer. This is the psychological component.
And then comes Kandinsky into the picture.
I agree. Colors convey emotions and have the power to change moods.
Kandinsky argued that artistic experiences were all about feeling, and different colors affect mood. Yellow could disturb, while blue might make people feel good. Kandinsky's thoughts on color were similar to Goethe's belief that different colors convey certain emotions.
Colors convey different moods in relation with other colors too, apart from the qualia.
Now what is qualia?
Qualia is a quality or property as perceived or experienced by a person based on subjective experience. One person could experience passion while perceiving red, whilst another could experience fear.
But does the perception of colors change in relation with other colors?
In visual perception, a color is almost never seen as it really is, as it physically is. This fact makes color the most relative medium in art. Colors appear different in relation with other colors.
Do you all know that Joseph Albers, born in 1888, was celebrated for his iconic abstract paintings? In 1963, he launched an experiment, radical and brave at the time, seeking to cultivate a new way of studying and understanding color through experience and trial and error rather than through didactic theoretical dogma.
A color has many faces, and one color can be made to appear as 2 different colors.
Now look at those squares in the background. Do you see those tiny brown squares? Do they look alike? No, right? And yet you won't believe that they are made out of the exact same paper strip and therefore are of the same color. How is this even possible? Now this phenomenon is definitely a result of interaction of color. You all must read this book written by Joseph Albers on the interaction of color. In this book, you will be able to find detailed lessons, experiments and graphics explaining how certain colors neutralize or alter other colors, how light affects hue, and other very interesting asides related to the interaction of color. We hope you enjoyed this video on the scientific background of color. See you all in the next video on basics of color.
Hi! Now that you have understood various perspectives from our scientists, let's move on to understanding some basic concepts in color. Have you all seen a color wheel? To give you a gist, a color wheel is a tool which shows the relationship between color hues. It basically stems from 3 primaries that are aligned at 3 equally spaced positions around the color wheel. 2 near primaries produce the secondary set of hues called secondary colors, which additionally produce another 3 colors called tertiary colors. Was that too much to grasp? Let's break it down. Primary colors are the basic colors in the color wheel. They are pure and not formulated by other hues. Primary colors are used for additive combinations of colors. They consist of red, yellow and blue. Often when you run out of certain colors while painting, you mix what you have and make new colors, right? Let us see which colors are used to produce which other colors. So secondary colors, as their name suggests, are produced by two primaries of equal proportions. Secondary colors consist of orange, formed by yellow and red, green, formed by blue and yellow, and violet, formed by blue and red. Let us go a step ahead in color mixing. Tertiary colors are formed by mixing one primary and one secondary color. So the 6 tertiary colors include red-orange, yellow-green or chartreuse, blue-green or aquamarine, blue-violet or indigo, and violet-red. Now, what are cool colors and warm colors? Warm colors such as red, yellow and orange evoke warmth because they remind us of things like the sun or fire, whereas cool colors such as blue, green, purple or violet evoke a cool feeling because they remind us of the moon, water or grass. Let us look at some commonly used terms in color and understand what they mean, shall we? In colorimetry, the Munsell color system created by Henry Munsell in the first decade of the 20th century is a color space that specifies colors based on 3 properties of color: hue, which is basic color, chroma or saturation, that is color intensity, and value or lightness. Confused? Let us look at it in a little more detail. Hue is the quality by which we distinguish one color from another. So basically the color wheel is made out of hues. Value is the quality by which we distinguish a light color from a dark one. Chroma or saturation is the quality that distinguishes the difference from a pure hue to a grey shade. So what you see here is the hue purple. The value changes from bottom to top. So the low values or shades are close to the bottom, whereas the high values or the tints are close to the top. Chroma or saturation, on the other hand, changes from left to right. So the low chroma colors are on the left, mid chroma colors are at the center, and high chroma colors are on the right. Do you know when you add white or black to colors, what they are termed as in the color world? So adding white to a pure color creates tints. Tints are often associated with pastel colors because they are softer and subtle. Adding black and white or grey to a pure color creates tones of color. Adding black to a color creates shades. Shades can range from medium to very dark colors depending on the amount of black added to the color.
How do colors interact with one another?
Colors appear differently in combination with other colors. These interactions bring some very interesting results. So the contrast of hue is illustrated by undiluted colors in the most intense luminosity. Some combinations are yellow-red-blue, red-white-blue, blue-black-yellow, and so on. The contrast between light and dark values lead to light-dark contrasts. The strongest expressions of light and dark are the colors white and black. Light colors of equal brilliance and light colors of equal darkness give very soft contrasts. You saw what cool and warm colors mean, right? So what are cold-warm contrasts? They refer to contrast between cool and warm colors. These can produce some very interesting results. So the same color could appear cool or warm based on what color it is paired with. Blue, even though it is a cool color, it could appear as warm. And red, a warm color, could be made to appear as cool. How cool is that? Contrast of extension involves the relative areas of 2 or more color patches. It is the contrast between much and little or great and small. For example, yellow squares of equal size look bigger on white than on black, and red squares of equal size look smaller on white than on black. In the next video reference, you will be getting a summary on color theory. Also, refer to the external references to probe further on your own. Fasten your seatbelts to go on an exciting safari in the next video on colors in nature.
Welcome to the module on colors in nature. In this module, we will take spatial inspirations from objects and phenomena in nature and try applying them to the spaces we design. Let us look at some very distinct color-related phenomena in nature, shall we? Take the hummingbird for instance. A hummingbird flies in the direction of the colored flowers that promise nectar. Brighter the flowers, the more they are attractive to the hummingbird. Do you know why that is? So in some birds and animals, some sections of the brain have access to opponent color signals which trigger some muscle movements and other behaviors. So Tim Caro, a wildlife biologist, says that if you ask the question, "What's this color for?" you should approach it the way animals see these colors. So if I want my building to be able to attract many users, what color can the spaces be? Could I take inspiration from a hummingbird that is attracted to brightly colored flowers that ensure nectar? Could my building then have bright colors that attract? Something to think about, isn't it? Speaking of color signals, do you know aposematism is color used as a warning? Derived from the Greek words apo for away and sema for sign. Do you know what the butterfly's bright wings actually say? Listen to this. Well, the bright red of the poison dart frog also warns of the toxins its skin excretes. A wasp also uses aposematism to signal a potential sting. What color can the spaces be? I want my building to stand out, to be seen, to be bold, to exude importance. What color can the spaces be? Could I take inspiration from the aposematism displayed by a poison dart frog that stands out and thus warns others of its importance? Let us look at another color signal. Crypsis is color used as camouflage. A chameleon uses crypsis.
I change colors according to my context. Context matters, you know.
I want my building to be ever transformative and adaptive to different contexts. What color can the spaces be? Can the colors transform with context? A chameleon transforms its colors with respect to its surroundings. Could my building transform or appear as if in transformation?
Look, a black bird.
What are you talking about?
Do you all know that the color vision in most birds is far superior compared to human color vision? Can you imagine how much more colorful the world would be for birds? You see, the reason behind this is that most birds have tetrachromats or 4 color receptors in their retina, while humans have trichromats or only 3 color receptors. Now if you're surprised by that, listen to this. The mantis shrimp has 12 whooping color receptors, which is 4 times the receptors in humans, which means their worlds are 4 times as colorful. What a psychedelic world the little guy must be experiencing, huh?
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Now I want my building to give a psychedelic experience. What colors can the spaces be? Can the colors enhance experiential value? A mantis shrimp has 12 color receptors, which means it is much more sensitive to detailed colors around. Could we take inspirations from its experience and replicate it for humans? Sometimes some colors from nature may just inspire, and you may want to replicate those in your interior spaces. You might want to continue the colors of the flaming gulmohar tree outside your window and bring those inside your home. You might have an affinity to the sea and wish to bring the essence of the sea to your interior spaces. You find earthy textures and colors of autumn magical, and you want to replicate that magic in your space. Be it the mesmerizing hills with lilac flowers or woody forests, you could bring it all inside your spaces. Wasn't that a lot of food for thought? Continue to observe nature and derive inspirations. See you all in the next video that'll teleport you to different time zones. Hi there! In this module, we will be looking at color perceptions across cultures through history and symbolism. So ready to transport yourselves through time zones and regions? Come on, let's go! We will be looking at cultural history in art and architecture and
how colors added a distinctive character to different cultures, paintings, religion, and architecture. We will be going through Western and South Asian contexts and try and understand the role of color in adding value to different cultures through ages, understand cultural symbolism across different nations, and then proceed to explore color in heritage through a stimulating activity. Shall we begin with some very interesting insights from Greek architecture? Come, let's listen into Marcus and Johannes' conversation.
Is Greek architecture devoid of colour? Isn't it completely white?
No, my friend. The Greek used various colours to highlight their buildings and sculpture. The colour faded over time.
Marcus gets confused.
But the Parthenon is monochromatic.
Johannes clarifies Marcus's doubt and says,
Are you sure about that? Read this link attached in the description to this video.
I'm sure you're as surprised as Marcus is. Well, as it turns out, some Greek buildings were not always white. Jacques Ignacy Hittorf, in the 1800s, succeeded in bringing attention towards a relevant discovery. The Greek architecture was not white as it was believed for centuries based on the color of the ruins, but polychromatic. The Greeks used to paint their temples as well as family dwellings with vivid colors. Do you know there was also a time when colors as natural to materiality was advocated? John Ruskin, prominent theoretician from the arts and crafts period in the late 1800s, in his seminal work The Seven Lamps of Architecture, speaks about color. In the chapter The Lamp of Beauty, he conceives sculpture without color, that is monochrome, but he cannot envision architecture in the same way. He speaks of architecture as an organic being and encourages the use of color through observation of nature.
Natural color of materials. Truth of materiality. Craftsmanship at its peak.
So he advocates the use of materials in their natural colors without resorting to the use of paints. Now let us look at a completely different perspective. The Grammar of Ornament in 1856 by Owen Jones constitutes an extraordinary source of historical color designs in which Jones describes the principles for the arrangement of form and color. Ornamentation, you see, in color was a priority during the High Renaissance and Baroque periods. Dainty clothes and dainty interiors went hand in hand. From Renaissance to Baroque and Rococo, opulent interiors and ravishing use of color was observed. Ornamentation was embraced during these periods. Let us now teleport to the Industrial Revolution in the 1900s. We arrive at the era of modernism. The fast life begins. There is no more time for patient ornamentation and detail. It was the era of mass production. The manifesto by Adolf Loos in the wake of the Industrial Revolution in the 1900s says that ornamental forms no longer depict the present culture and that there is absolutely no sense in repeating what was made a long time ago. The modern form should thus be an object that is purely functional and strips itself off of anything superfluous. Do you now understand that perceptions change with time and advancements? Therefore, understanding contexts in association with color becomes very, very important.
There is grammar in ornament.
Ornament is crime.
So while pre-20th century we see a ravishing use of color, post-industrial revolution the ornamentation started reducing and less is more became the new motto. Let us dive into the colors in art movements through history to the present era, shall we? Colors in art have almost always captured the zeitgeist of the corresponding time. While during Renaissance perfection and detail was a priority, during abstract expressionism, multiple interpretations were the key. The color palettes also began evolving, you see. Impressionism color palettes were often warm and glowing, taking inspirations from nature. Art Nouveau had earthy organics and natural color palettes, while Romanticism focused on earthy tones. Fauvism artists leaned more towards vivid colors. Surrealist color schemes were bold, creating alternative realities. Cubism, contemporary art, and minimalism all sought to uncover completely new ways of perceiving art. Romantics relied on a palette of earth tones and neutrals to depict the sublime power of the natural world, sunsets, shipwrecks, and solitude, while the Impressionists were interested in capturing fleeting light and used pastels to depict scenes of everyday life. Paintings in Fauvism were with bold complementary color palettes, while pop art saw the pop of bright reds, yellows, and blues in a very graphical manner. As we move along post-industrial revolution, we realize that art movements began challenging traditional dogmas. One of them was Cubism, in which there was a depiction of three-dimensional volumes in a two-dimensional plane by the way of delineating as well as layering of planes. The use of colors varied with artists. While Picasso's use of color was passionate, restless, and bold, Braque's use of color was reserved, measured, almost shy.
Could we please bring some new trends?
The aim became to develop a new way of seeing which reflected the modern age. Even the use of color started changing to adapt to new ideologies. Art movements also had a heavy influence on architecture movements and vice versa. We hope you enjoyed this video on the first part of color perceptions in cultural history and symbolism. In the next video, we will fly you to the South Asian context to get even more perceptions. Hi there! We will now take a plunge into the complex world of the human brain and try to unravel the mysteries of color perception. Do you know that the brain makes subconscious inferences of color based on prior knowledge? Let's find out how, shall we? What color strawberries do you see in this image? You see red, right? Wait for it. You, my friend, are wrong. This image in fact has no use of red. The strawberries are made up of grey pixels and the entire image is made up of grey and cyan pixels. Surprised? Then why does your brain perceive these strawberries as red? This illusion was created by a Japanese researcher named Akiyoshi Kitaoka, and it hinges on something called as color constancy. It's a visual phenomenon by which the color of an object appears to stay more or less the same regardless of the lighting conditions under which you see it, or the lighting conditions under which your brain thinks you are seeing it. To put it simply, our brain figures out the color of things by discounting the color of the light source. Did you understand? Let us take another illusion test. What color is this dress? Did you say blue and black or white and gold? Surprised again? The image of this dress became an internet sensation in 2015 when multiple answers on the color of this dress were coming through. Isn't it mind-boggling? Go on, ask your family and friends what color do they see. Now, what is the reason behind this? A popular hypothesis is that the colors you see depends on how your brain interprets the light falling on the dress. If you said white and gold, you may be a morning person. You tend to associate natural light as the context and therefore see white and gold. Natural light tends to have a blue tonality, so we mentally subtract the blue light in order to view the image, which then appears in bright colors like gold and white. And if you said blue and black, you are perhaps a night owl. You may be perceiving the dress as lit by artificial light. Artificial light tends to be yellowish, which is why our brain factors out warm colors out of the picture, and what we see is blue and black. Isn't it absolutely amazing how the brain works? Our lifestyles could possibly be altering our perception of colors in a sense. The spaces we inhabit affect our lifestyles. Therefore, can we say that architecture and space conceptions indirectly affect our perception of colors? Ever wished your living room was a little larger or your hallway a little wider? Our eyes perceive colors and tones in such a way that it is possible to create optical illusions that visually alter the dimensions of a room. Colors have the power to enhance volumes, bring out details, render illusions of changed dimensions. It also has the power of tweaking emotions and user experience of a space. Let us look at psychological effects of some colors used in our spaces. Blue painted in a space has a calming effect. Yellow mentally stimulates and encourages communication, while green alleviates depression and anxiety. Red is very stimulating. It energizes and entices. It must be used with restraint for best outcomes. Orange makes spaces appear friendly and encourages socialization. Purple brings out the creative juices and excites. White helps declutter the mind and bring focus to a place. Brown strengthens, brings stability and a sense of order. Black makes a space look inconspicuous, evokes a sense of potential and possibility, while grey renders timelessness but when used in larger areas may bring a sense of alienation. Perceptions of a color change by the way it is used in spaces. It may invoke different emotions in different contexts. Darker hues of red give the feeling of fear or horror, like in the Jewish Museum by Daniel Libeskind, whereas a feeling of nostalgia, humility and connectedness can be seen in the lighter shades of red in Jawahar Kala Kendra by architect Charles Correa. Bright shades of yellow add cheerfulness and radiance, while paler or more orange hues of yellow may appear calmer. Neon green may be a tad bright, while earthy or pastel greens relax your mind. Let's brush our basics on color interaction that we learned earlier. Now observe these circles. Which of the combinations appear as though they are enclosed or inward, and which appear to be distant or outward? Well, image 1 and image 3 appear inward and 2 and 4 appear outward or distant, right? So now apply this illusion to interior spaces. Lighter walls open up and recede, whilst darker walls close in and advance. Cool and lighter hues and tones such as blues and greens give the appearance of the walls receding. Low contrast combinations create a feeling of spaciousness. Warm hues such as browns, reds and oranges give the appearance of the walls appearing closer than they are in reality. These warmer tones make the room feel cozier and intimate. Let us look at how different combinations of colors on the walls and ceiling could generate varying illusions within a space. Lighter walls and ceiling gives a sense of expanded space. Coloring 3 connected walls in a darker color stretches out a space. Coloring parallel walls creates a comfortable and cozy space. Highlight a wall by coloring it in a brighter shade than the rest. To give a cocooning effect to a space, color all the walls and ceiling with the same color. Coloring one wall and the ceiling in one continuous color elongates a space. A space seems stretched horizontally when a portion of the walls are colored continuously across walls. To bring the ceiling down or to reduce the scale of a space, color it darker than the rest of the walls. Finally, if you want to shorten an elongated space, color the wall on the longer end with a darker shade. Tune into this video on how to use colors effectively and learn more about how colors can transform a space. Find the link in the description to this video. The master architect Le Corbusier designed a color palette called architectural polychromy, which offers a comprehensive color palette that is characterized by specific rules that bring out certain spatial perceptions. Let's look at a variety of color palettes developed by Nippon as a part of the color forecast vision. The color palette Curious is bright, with the use of warm and cool colors like orange and turquoise to breathe life into a space. Passion color palette shows a brighter shade of blue. Humapathy brings out some pastels and brighter shades. Flossom palette shows a dull shade of yellow and brighter blue. You can take a look at various other palettes attached in the external references with this lesson. Now that you have started understanding the power of psychological transformation by color in spaces, it is time for an activity to test out your understandings. Let's have some fun. Go to photopea.com and open source image editing tool to color the downloadable images. Find the details of the assignment in the next segment, and for a tutorial on using the online tool, click the link given in the description box of this video. Hope you enjoyed this concluding video to this module on background of color. See you soon in the next module on spatial perceptions, where we will take you through spatial typologies in architecture and interior through the lens of color.